Can you hear us?
Yeah.
All right.
And we are live. Welcome to the You Are Beautiful podcast, episode 30th. We're revamping this. You guys heard a lot of stuff about relationships. If you didn't, go check that out. I have like 6 episodes. So, introducing Jordan again. How long have you been on my training program?
3 years.
3 years, and my girlfriend for what, a year and a half.
Yes.
And Mireya, how long have you been on my training program?
I've been on for 4 months now.
4 months, and we've been besties for 4 months.
Yes.
Awesome. So, guys, this is why Jordan and I decided to call this podcast "You Are Beautiful," because there's a problem that I saw in the fitness industry, which is the reason why I got into it. One of the problems, obviously, was I couldn't find the proper training methodologies that was sustainable, that helped long term, and pretty much just gave really good results. Like, I wasn't happy with the results I was getting. But the second biggest reason I went in there was because people aren't taking the right approach. You have a kitty cat on there. Hey! Oh, wow, that worked really well. So people are not taking the right approach. Is that their why and their reason and their focus is on the wrong thing. They're only focused on what they look like on the outside. And if that is the end goal, then you will sacrifice your health. Dude, come on.
Do you want to start over?
No,
Lock them out?
this is in there. This is in there. We're all already in
Rumbelina,
there.
get down.
They're gonna watch this.
There she goes.
All right.
Sorry.
So, oh, bro, you gotta see this is like real time. John Wick didn't do anything. John Wick, you're useless. Killed all these people. Can't get rid of one cat. All right. Anyways, so when you focus, if I didn't lose you guys, the problem that I saw in the fitness industry was, or just in generally speaking, what people are focused on is just how they look on the outside. So now when the end goal is just how good you look on the outside without any having any importance to your health and longevity, then you're going to do anything possible to get to that end goal. And that's where the steroids come in, the crash diets that are actually detrimental to your mental health, your hormones come in. And that's when the BBLs and the plastic surgeries and the liposuctions, and it's a net negative in people's lives. So we wanted to call this podcast "You Are Beautiful" podcast, is that you are beautiful just the way you are. Nothing's gonna change that, because every few weeks, every few months, every few years, there's a new standard on what you should look like. Your nose is not skinny enough. Your nose is not big enough. Your lips aren't fat enough. Your butt's too big. Your butt's too small, or your butt's big but it's not gigantic, whatever that word is, gigantic, and then you have to pump stuff in there. So the reason why we called it "You Are Beautiful" is because we want to focus on health and longevity. We want to work out to be healthier, to be able to run and jump with our kids, and just live longer, fruitful lives. Now, you take a body and a mind and you make it healthy on the inside, it's going to look good enough and amazing on the outside. So that was a long introduction. So this is why it's called "You Are Beautiful" podcast. And the goal of this podcast is to bring people like Jordan, like Mireya, and get I don't want to say average, but a relatable person's perspective, because everybody doesn't want to be a fitness model or an athlete. We just want to bring health and fitness in our lives. So I'm hoping that listening to you guys and your experience, an experience different than mine, who does this as a profession, hopefully they'll learn from there.
Awesome.
All right. Now, since I'm guiding through this, so is there anything you guys would like to add about how about this? I'll make this a little specific. Mireya, I asked you about doing this podcast just a few a week or so ago, and you came over here because I asked you, and I have some goals from this podcast. What are some of the things that you personally, intentionally wanted to achieve by just coming over here and putting your thoughts and ideas out there?
Yeah, no. So I think that for me, this is honestly going to be another level of connecting and relating with other women, showing that, you know, you can take your average Joe looking woman and turn it into, you know, something more positive, share with the community, be supportive, because we all know that, you know, supporting women and supporting each other is going to be super huge on motivation, confidence, showcasing, you know, I have my daughter, you know, showing her that, you know, she too can be her own self and, you know, be beautiful as well, no matter what. But it's just, I feel like just kind of having a voice out there for women out there.
That is an absolutely amazing answer, and that was my intention too, to bring you over here, and I thought you would have a pretty good perspective and more relatable to women, and especially since you're a mom as well.
Yeah.
So, and then Jordan, so you kind of eat the same thing as me. You've been training with me, so all your stuff is dialed in. And obviously, you came over here because as a favor to me, so we can promote some stuff. Is there anything personal to you that you would like to achieve or do different, or something that we haven't discussed? Because I kind of take the lead on this and bring out topics. But is there something that we haven't discussed that you would want to change in the world, to do something different? Because like my message to the females, males is exactly the same and all that stuff, as in, and I'll try to make this question make more sense, is like, oh, discipline, don't live a life of pleasure. It's not about what you like, it's about what your goal is, so you can get rid of a bunch of likes just to go from point A to point B. So I'm about mental toughness, pain tolerance, and all that stuff. But I'm assuming you, being an individual and a female, have a different perspective. So maybe point out something that we haven't discussed, or something that I might have missed, or probably have missed.
Well, I think as women, we tend to be more like emotional creatures. And I think there are a lot of highs and lows when it comes to hitting your goals or just being on your journey to whatever it is you're trying to achieve. So I think touching on some of that, you know, how to work through those moments, how to stay strong in moments of weakness, and not go back on your goals and your discipline and all of the things that you do teach. Yeah. Does that kind of explain it a little bit better?
Could you explain it one more time?
I just think that like maybe for the women, we can do more to emotionally support, because it's a very straightforward program, which is great. But us as women, we're more complex. We have more emotions. You know, certain days might be harder than others. And I know I don't want to sound sexist. I'm sure men go through the same thing. But I just feel like maybe we can be a little bit more of a voice of how to work through those hard times.
Oh, okay. Now
Like
the wheels
community.
are turning and all that stuff. And this is actually an example about why I need you guys over here and your perspective.
The women perspective.
Because I 100% agree with what you're saying, because what I see on the market, it's a very much a male's perspective. And I, even with my female clients, and even talking to you, you know, I try to go that route. But I do understand, and males and females are different creatures, and I'm not saying different and one's better than the other, but it's necessary, you know. When you're making curry, you need the curry masala, the chili flakes, but you also need the salt. They both serve two different purposes, and they do those things well. So when I look at motivation for me, it's pretty straightforward. Hey, you're fat, you're broke, get your shit together. Now, I understand like some men respond to it, but I know a lot of men that don't respond to that either. A lot of things that I learned that helped me in my relationship, finances, people skills were coming from females because they just looked at those things in a different way and their points were better than a male's perspective. So I know I take a lot of like hard and dead set, it's black and white approach. And there are a lot of people sitting there that do want to make a change and they do want to become healthy. But just because my voice is not relatable to them, which is okay because males and females respond to different things, that's where you come in. And I understand it's hard for me to have more emotions involved when I'm saying, oh, just fucking cut out carbs. But we need your perspective to be like, all right, this person's been eating carbs for the last 20 years. You have to
break a habit.
A habit, guide them through it. Not everybody is like me, is just going to go and put a tattoo on their face. Which they should, but
if we could all just be a little bit more like Grandmasta Gains.
Yeah. Right. Without face. I don't actually, you don't put face tattoos. You look just fine. But Mireya, you want to go get some fucking face tattoo? Power to you. So today's episode, I'm gonna call it our relationship with food, right? So I think the way we're gonna set it up is we're gonna go Mireya, Jordan, and then myself, and we're gonna answer these little questions.
Cool.
So, do you remember, like, kind of, sort of, the age below 10?
Yeah.
Like 6, 7, 8, 9, you know?
Yeah.
I remember when I was 1, dude. I was amazing. I had big old biceps. No. So your relationship with food. And when I'm asking about the relationship with food, as in, did you care about it? Did you think about it? Were you conscious about what you were eating? Do you know fried food was bad? How much information did you have at that time? And yes, I'm asking under the age of 10 because your parents were in charge. Our parents were in charge. So when I'm talking about that, whether you were conscious about it, whether you have portion control, did you worry about if you're eating too much, it's bad for you? Did you worry about the health, how food is related to health, or were you more worried about how food was related to what you look like? So let me streamline this. Your relationship with food when it comes to portion control. Of course, I would pick up pink one. Portion control. How it affected your health, and it's a complicated word, but aesthetics. And I know it sucks. It actually already bothers me that I'm asking a person if they cared about their aesthetics at under the age of 10, but that is actually a problem. So, all right, Mireya. So
Yeah.
portion control, health, aesthetics, from 0 to 10.
So for me, growing up, I have 2 younger sisters and my mom and my dad. So house full of women. So I felt bad for my dad now that I look at it. My dad was the cook in our home. He was the one who was always preparing the meals for us and making sure we were fed, after school, before school, and things like that. So when it comes to like the portion control, I think, for him, because we were always on that living to go style. My parents were both working. We had to go to school. It was always something quick, at least in the morning. So it was either like a fruit, piece of toast, or the cereal, right? Go to, bang, we got to go to school. See you guys later type of thing. After school, my dad would then just have our dinner. He would be the one to come home after work and cook dinner. And that one entailed more of a chicken meal dish type of thing. My dad, I remember he worked as a line cook at one of the hotels. So he would come home and like prepare one of those banquet dinner meals for us, So we would call it like our fancy meal and stuff like that. So he would have like whatever chicken and the sauce and the vegetables on the side and the mashed potatoes. So we were always like excited, and every time we had that fancy dinner for us. But I guess that's where the aesthetics come from, because he would make a presentation out of it for us, so that we could eat our fruits and vegetables and things like that included with the meal. But other than that, I think my parents, when they would cook for us, I can't recall us really cooking with like high levels of oils or greasy foods, or I'm Mexican. We didn't grow up with the traditional Mexican meals other than your rice and beans growing up. But we didn't, I don't think I recall us eating very heavily as we were younger. So it was pretty easy for us to maintain that as we kind of grew up.
Okay. So what I'm getting from that is like when I was talking about the relationship with food and stuff, I was like also wanting to see whether you actually cared or had to be conscious about this is healthy, this is unhealthy, but based on the fact that your parents were kind of sort of feeding you pretty well, so you didn't have to.
I didn't have to worry about it.
And all that stuff.
As I was younger, obviously, this is
as you were younger, you didn't have to worry about I'm going to eat this, gain a little bit of weight.
My parents weren't probably thinking healthy lifestyle for us either. They were just cooking something quick and easy for us.
But there was not a conscious conversation at that age about what's good, what's bad, candy, just eating something that tastes good.
Yeah.
All right. So, Jordan.
Yeah. So my family's a little complicated, but which one isn't? But I really do feel like my parents always tried to feed us a balanced diet when things in the household were good. Oh, sorry, that was your foot. When things in the household were good, like they would try really hard, and I would remember that our plates would always be like a source of protein, a vegetable, and like a starch, like rice, potatoes, bread, pasta, something like that. But it's fairly, at that time, what you would be considered to be balanced. And then I do remember them telling me, like, don't eat a lot of junk food. So not so much candy, not so much ice cream, potato chips. Like I would say under 10, already beginning to start my emotional kind of eating, especially when things weren't great in the house. Like, or if I was bored, I would go towards junk food. And my parents would be on my case about that because it was around that age that I started to get a little chunky.
Oh, so sorry if I interrupted you. So when I'm talking about the relationship with food, right? I want to go through this journey about how so by relationship, I'm talking about whether you do care about what you're eating, whether you don't, if you have the information or you don't. So I'm looking based on that. I'm hearing that at a young age, even before 10, you started having that weird relationship with food, that you were eating stuff knowing, but at least one positive thing is that you knew what was good and what was bad. And you were making a conscious decision as a person under 10 years old to eat this, not caring what it's going to do into your body.
Right. Because when you're 10, you're just like, whatever, you're going to live forever and whatever.
But you're conscious. But you're conscious enough to know that it's not
I knew
good
it was
for
bad
you,
for me, of course.
And obviously, I'm not judging your 10-year-old self.
Yeah. Little girl.
All right, my turn.
Yep.
I was the fat kid. It was very, very. It was made very obvious at home and in school and all social circles that I was the fat kid. So at a very young age, I had a weird relationship with food, and my biggest thing was just portion control. I think the most I knew through my parents was that eating candy is bad. I guess fried food is bad, and eating out is bad. Even though when I look back, think about it, we were having the same macronutrients inside and out. It's just, but eating out is bad. Sweets are bad, and then basically barely any, and eating too much is bad. So since a young age, I already knew that I was had a weird relationship. Like I felt guilty after I ate too much, but I was hungry and I loved eating, so I just and I was a fat kid, so like there was just like every single time I ate was like a positive and negative. I was getting happy because I loved eating, but then I was feeling guilty because I was eating too much. But I didn't know the difference between macros, what to focus on, a carbohydrate versus a protein. It's just less is good, more is bad. And then I would eat less and then nothing would happen and I would still be fat. And for a kid to be doing that at that young of an age when your body is growing and underfeeding the body, it's just terrible.
Yeah, can I add something to my childhood life story? I do remember always being told to eat everything on my plate.
Yeah.
Eat everything. Like when times weren't good or money was tight, be like, eat all your food. Eat it all.
Yeah.
Like you can't get away up from the table till you eat your whole plate of food.
Yeah, we shared that too. You had to like...
I kind of had that too, but then the same motherfuckers calling me fat. So it just doesn't make sense in my head. Oh yeah, this is YouTube. I'm gonna cuss on YouTube, not on Instagram. All right. So Mireya, in your teens. Oh, by the way, were you a chunky teen?
I was not.
Oh yeah, you're one of those skinny ones, huh? You're one of those popular kids in school, huh?
No, I wasn't popular, but I was definitely one of those like really thin little, almost toothpick little girls. Yeah. So as I was growing up and in my teens, that's when probably I started having more of a relationship with food, because now you're self-aware or self-conscious of how you're looking, how you're feeling, all these hormones going through you as well. You know, you want to make sure that you look good and, you know, feel good. Out of like high school and everything like that. So growing up, yeah, I mean, I definitely was watching a little bit more what I was eating. I wasn't, I've never really been big on the fast food stuff anyway. So I wasn't like super, you know, fast food or taco shops and stuff like that. But I felt that by then I was definitely more conscious about what I was eating.
And when you say you're conscious about what you were eating, what was kind of the stuff you were focusing on? Were you just like eliminating sugar? Were you not eating out a lot? But like, what specifically? What did you consider was being conscious?
Yeah. So
like for example, some people like, I'm pretty open about being believe in the carnivore diet 100%. You know, somebody can consciously be a vegan and it's detrimental to their health. You know, so I just want to get your idea of at that point in time, what did you that being conscious was?
Yeah, so I wasn't I wasn't eating much of the fast food stuff. So like none of the hamburger places or the eating late was another one. Like I wouldn't eat like past 7 or something like that, because then I knew like it would just kind of sit in my stomach and I wasn't, you know, doing anything. And that's kind of like how I wired my brain to not eat like past 7 or, you know, I think that's when I probably also even started taking like I wouldn't say like protein drinks. I think that's when I probably started taking like protein drinks on and off, because I needed to have something balanced. And in my teens, I was finishing high school or something like that, working part-time, you know, at the mall. But it was just little things that, like, again, eating a bit healthier.
Mm-hmm. And how did that work out for you? Did they?
I mean, I felt like I was fine in my teens.
Yeah,
I was still pretty thin.
Nice.
I was still pretty thin, but I mean, again, I was still, you know, toothpick thin.
Yeah, cool. So teens went pretty okay for you, decent. Yeah. Oh, let's hear Jordan's teens.
I was also a chunky teen, and I did not. I did not.
And when you say
care.
Also, as in me and you were chunky teens.
No, I meant like I was chunky as a child, and then it just moved right into my teens.
Oh yeah, okay.
So, like I remember my parents would pack us lunch a lot of the time, and it would be like a turkey sandwich on white bread, a freaking Coca-Cola, a banana, and like a little Debbie's Hostess cupcake or something.
Now, did you know that stuff was bad or no? Were you
I knew it wasn't the best, but I didn't care because I wanted it. And then if I didn't bring lunch to school, I would eat at school whatever they had. And when I was in high school, they had the worst food you can imagine. I'm pretty sure like every single thing we used to eat is now banned in most schools.
Yeah.
But like I would go home with like a friggin' 40-ounce fountain soda just to walk home and make it through the hot walk home. We would eat like breadsticks filled with cheese, or like one of the schools I went to, all the kids loved to eat Flamin' Hot Cheetos and dip them in nacho cheese, like the chemical nacho cheese. Like that is what we gravitated towards.
Yeah.
And my first job in high school was Pizza Hut. So you can imagine what I was eating on the side.
Dude, you're talking about this like in a negative way. I would be sitting in Pakistan watching all this shit on television.
Like,
I'm like, oh man, I wish I had some of that nacho cheese, that Pizza Hut. There was French fry dipped in ice cream. It was so disgusting, but I just wanted to come to America and do it.
By then, I knew that was bad for me, but I didn't want to do what I thought it took to get in shape, which was like, I don't know. One time my whole family went on the Atkins diet, and that was a pretty hard adjustment. I mean, we lasted like a solid month and we all lost weight, but to go from eating whatever you want to being on the Atkins diet, which is pretty strict, which is like low carb if you guys don't know, that was difficult. So it was like a pain point for me because I had used food for boredom, for emotion, for whatever. So me knowing that that's what it took to lose weight, or in my head was the most efficient way, it was going to take so much work. So I was just like, whatever. I'm just going to accept myself for what and
You
who
said
I
the
am.
Atkins diet was a lot of work?
Yeah, because think about it. You're eating cheesy breadsticks and working at Pizza Hut, and then the next thing you know, your family's like, you can't have any carbs, and you're literally counting carbs in a piece of fruit, carbs in a vegetable, and you're staying under some low, ridiculous amount of carbs to be in ketosis or whatever was going on. I mean, I'm like 17 years old when this
But
happened.
were they feeding you enough meat at least?
I mean,
to
that's
fill
pretty
you
much
up?
all we could eat. So, yeah, we were eating lots of meat. Yeah.
I understand. As a kid, when that would happen, I would just break up with my family. I'm like, no. But at least, yeah, that was a good path. But so, yeah, you just didn't care and you were just
I was
okay.
like, it's going to be too hard. I'm just going to accept my plus size self.
Yeah. You know what my teens are like?
Let's hear it.
Exactly the same, dude. By the time I was a teenager, I just accepted it. I'm like, fuck it, bro. I was just pigging out. Just stuff myself.
Yeah.
Whenever we would go out to eat or a family gathering and this and that, it would just be me and my one cousin. There would be a bunch of cousins, but we were like exactly the same age, like a few months apart. He was my dad's elder brother's son. So his name was Fazal. I was the same age. Now this motherfucker could eat whatever the fuck he wanted and just stay skinny. He was always the coolest guy. He had the funniest joke. He could dance well. He would get all the fucking chicks in school and just always shredded. And I would sit down and eat with him and eat. We would both eat like as much as we can because like we would just be popular for like, all right, these guys are gonna sit down and see who can eat more.
Also,
and this
what
dickhead
else
would
is
on
there to
gain.
do?
Yeah, we don't have nothing, bro. We don't have.
In your teens, you're kind of stuck. You
I
know?
can't even sneak out and
Yeah.
try to buy alcohol because there is no alcohol. Like nothing, and I didn't have money. So I mean,
Yeah.
I had everything I had, but my dad didn't. I didn't have like spending money to go out and have my own car. So yeah, there was nothing much to do. So food, but the thing is, it was absurd, bro. Like this guy would eat the exact same amount, actually more than me, and just stay skinny, and I'm just like sitting there with my gut. So yeah, teens were terrible, terrible. All right, 20s.
20s. Where was I in my 20s? You know what? Food, I think that's when probably I started. By then, I'm like full-time working, full-time parent by then. And I started living more on that to-go life. So because I had just kind of a lot going on the personal side with responsibilities and everything, I noticed probably myself eating probably less. Mm-hmm. So I was probably having 1 meal a day, 2 meals a day. And again, it wasn't anything healthy either. By then, I think I was eating more of the fast food. That's when I was started picking that.
Were you justifying eating it because you were only eating twice a day, so it can't be that bad?
Well, I'm not sure if it's justifying, but it was more of a convenience. Like, hey, like I'm on the run.
But did you feel less guilty about eating fast food because you were only eating twice a day? Or that didn't make a difference?
No.
You were just doing it because of convenience.
Yeah, because it was just like, I don't have time. I'm not a cook.
Then why were you eating less? Because of time?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's all you could get in?
Yeah. Honestly, because of time. I mean, I'm not a cook, so it was just easy
And how long did that last? Like a whole decade?
Up until now.
Yeah.
Honestly, because now the pattern was I was eating out more, didn't really care about what I was eating, and I was eating more fast food and stuff like that as well, because again, I was like, I wasn't cooking, so it just made it easy. Or ordering food all the time now with,
And did you start, so up until now that you didn't care, so did you start caring now you have to pick one. You can't pick like, it could be a little bit of both. Okay. Obviously it's going to be a little bit of both.
Yeah.
But which one was more important to you? Was it the way it was affecting the way your body looked, or the way it felt / you were concerned about your health in the future? All over the place?
It's a little bit of, I think it is a little bit of both, but a lot of it was, I think it would be the looks, because for me, again, growing up, being toothpick thin, I'm not trying to go back there or anything by means, but it played a little bit of that part. But then it also played the whole health portion of it, right? Mm-hmm. Like I, again, want to be healthy for my future self, for my daughter, for my family, as well. So, and I had seen other friends who had like health problems, and they were young and stuff like that too. So I'm like, I gotta get back.
Mm-hmm. Well, good. Glad you made that change. Mm-hmm. Jordan, 20s leading up to now. Talking about health while I'm vaping. I have a whole case about this. How it's not that bad for you. Anyways.
My 20s just continued. Like, I was also very busy. Straight into beauty school out of high school. Straight into a salon out of beauty school. Building my own business at such a young age. And I just didn't care. I didn't care what I was eating. I feel like I would have spurts of like caring, and I would go on
quick,
crazy.
Sorry to interrupt you, but you were conscious about what you were eating was bad.
Oh yeah, by then for sure I knew, and I was drinking like you wouldn't believe. That
was another one.
And when you drink like you wouldn't believe, then you eat all kinds of extra shit too, because you don't feel good and you're trying to soak up whatever you drank last night, or you're just making bad judgment calls when it comes to your food when you're intoxicated, even days after, trying to make yourself feel better in some kind of way. Mm-hmm. And what else was I going to say? Oh, I would have spurts of like moments where I wanted to get in shape or whatever, lose weight. It wasn't even get in shape. It was just lose weight. I just want to be skinnier. I didn't really know what that looked like or meant or anything. I just wanted to see the scale go down. And I would try like fad diets, stupid things like the cabbage soup diet. Like, are you serious right now? That was horrible.
I've heard of it.
But I really feel like...
Yeah, because there was no Grandmasta Gains back there. He was just being built to save you 5 years later after you go through that misery.
I still think when it came down to it, when I finally like started to make a change and stick to something, was more... Obviously, it's going to be somewhat looks, right? because that's part of your confidence. It was my mental health and my confidence that I was really trying to work on. And so I just wanted to prove to myself that I could stick to something, anything at all. And that's kind of what started how I ended up here. And yeah, but by then I was like 33 when I finally started like getting a grip.
Yeah. I will point out one thing. The part that you said about mental health, you know, you were trying to do it for your mental health and your confidence. And obviously, number one thing that we all three of us share in common was like we all cared about looks first. That's the first thing. You're like, oh man, the gut's sticking out. Not like, hey, maybe I'm poisoning my body long term.
Yeah, I didn't care.
But here's the thing, that mental health aspect that you talked about, that was also connected with the fact that you were focused that this is a problem. The way I looked is a problem. That I'm less attractive. I'm less confident because I have a little bit of chunk on me. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. That even after you get that chunk off of you, even after you get the physique, even after you get rid of the body fat, these assholes on Instagram, on fucking Glamour magazine, whatever the fuck, Vogue, Hollywood, will bring up a new thing that is going to make you feel insecure. Then a new thing. Now your tits aren't big enough. Now your ass is big. It's still not big. You know, I'm big. I look muscular, but I'm not as big as the guy who's taking steroids. So now I got to take steroids. Okay, but you know what else is there for guys? Now there's synthol. You know how girls inject shit in their chichis and their ass? So guys inject stuff in their biceps to swell them up. And people can die from that. You have nerve damage and all that stuff. So yeah, so again, just to, sorry, did I interrupt you? And like, so I was just pointing that out. Like my 20s, just to go through them real quick, I didn't do shit. I did not cheat one bit. I did not eat fat. I don't eat sugar. High protein, moderate carbs, and absolutely no fat, no sugar, nothing. Misery for an entire decade. Yeah, I did some drugs. Yeah, I drank some alcohol, but there was absolutely no cheating. And I felt miserable.
Wow.
Like,
but what made you have that thought process?
Was that?
Like, what were you thinking that you were like?
I was just pissed off, and I was like, I don't want to be fat anymore.
Yeah.
So all of my teens, everything, I didn't give a fuck. Like, I was just eating. Right around 18, when I realized that I got into school in the US, I'm like, oh shit, I gotta get shredded. Now, so I just started working out 6-7 days a week, bodybuilding program, low calorie deficit. That's when I started losing it. At 18, dude, I would go and shower, and every time I'm showering, my hair's just falling out. But that scale's dropping. I didn't give a fuck. I'm like, I'm getting skinny. Damn. And then even going up to college, I had a little bit of man boobs and thus, and I kept going. I was 100, and by the time I actually got as lean as I possibly could, I still had a little bit of body. I want those paper thin abs, right? I was 135 pounds. Eyes were sunken in. You saw my picture. I think you both of you have seen it. And I was literally having symptoms of low testosterone, ED, cranky. If I have one cheat meal, where I have a couple of beers and a cheeseburger, the next morning, within 3 days of picking out, because I would binge eat then, I would just lose, my gut would sick out because my metabolism was crashed. So it was just terrible, right? And I did everything. I went through that much pain for like a whole decade until I got my knee surgery to just get paper thin. I couldn't go out and eat. I weighed and measured every single thing. I had Tupperware containers, all that. That's garbage. Crazy. And then after I turned 30, I was going through finalizing my divorce, started walking again after my knee surgery. I'm like, I'm not doing jack shit. I just ate steaks, cheeseburgers, fried, and lifted heavy weights. Now here's the crazy part. That's the first time when I realized it was really, really fucking easy to stay lean. I actually leaned out, and my abs started popping out to the point where, like, I did no cardio, worked out 6 days a week, ate as much as I wanted, and I was lean. But anyways, the point that I'm making is all three of us, the first reason we actually started was because we started after, I mean, Mireya, your parents had a healthy approach when you were under 10. As a teenager, that foundation led you to a good path. So you didn't have to worry about how you looked, your physique, your health. It's only when you had to, out of life, threw some stuff at you and you started eating out. When you did it for 10 years, then you started being a little bit conscious about it. Whereas Jordan and I, the foundation wasn't set as kids. So we had terrible teens, terrible 20s. That's what we have in common. But it was easy to start. Your habits happened out of life, and ours happened because we were just following that pattern since day one. But all three of us eventually said, hey, there's something wrong with what we look like, rather than thinking about, hey, what's going to happen at 50? What's happening to our parents at 50 and 60? What happens to all these, our relatives at this age? We're not thinking about that. We're still at something toxic, a physique and a magazine. The fucking Instagram, people posting pictures in their bikinis and board shorts and shirtless pictures and all that stuff. That influenced us. And the point that I was wanting to end with in this podcast, that our relationship with food has to change to where we look at it as something that's going to be nutrient dense, that's going to be something good for the body, and the taste and what it does to the outside of the body should be the least important things.
Yeah.
So now, Mireya, what is your relationship with food?
Now I am definitely thinking about keeping it simple. Honestly, it is now, being on the program here with you, I will say that I've eaten the most red meat that I've ever eaten in my whole entire life. And that's probably like the main source of protein that I'm intaking right now, whether it's for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. And it's just, I still kind of have the 1, maybe 2 meals a day type of thing, but I do throw in some other protein, try to get some more protein in there. But I'm keeping it simple. It's got to be simple for me. Otherwise, if I'm counting and, all this other fluff in it, it's too much for me. So I keep it simple. I just buy my steaks, grill them, and then eat them as is.
Yeah. And do you ever have to, yeah.
I mean,
And to fill you up, do you ever have to stop eating now when you're still hungry?
what do you
Like
mean?
do you like as in portion control? Like when we're on a diet, right? That's the thing. You eat your portion and you're still hungry, and that's all you get.
Now again, because I keep it simple and I try to just minimize all the other fluff to it. It's just I pretty much eat it around the clock, almost.
Yeah. And would you say that now this is the healthiest relationship you've had with food?
Oh, for sure.
Up until this point.
Healthiest, simplest, you name it.
Yeah. And would you want your daughter to have the same relationship right now or at your age?
She is young, so definitely start with her now, so that she can have longer usage of her health, her her wellness, her mental health, especially, because that right now is one of the biggest things. Like Jordan said, it's probably she's at that age where it's all mental for her right now, and not so much of being thin and not thin, because she's pretty thin, and she kind of reminds me of me when I was younger too. But her seeing me just again keeping it simple, just eating simple, honestly, because there's really nothing to it.
And I also want to point out this fact, the way I'm gonna raise my kids, and this is not me telling you how to do things or giving you my opinion on it. I'm just thinking that with my kid, if they're skinny and they're eating healthy, even if they gain a few pounds and they're a little pudgy, whatever, if they don't look the the picture that Hollywood or media wants my kid to look like, as long as they're eating healthy,
Yeah.
as long as they're active,
Yeah.
a little bit of a body fat, if they don't have enough muscle, as much muscle as a GQ model, or if my daughter has a little bit more body fat than Taylor Swift, I'm not gonna say it's a bad thing or let them think it's a bad thing.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to focus on.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think, again, it's, like our podcast, right? You are beautiful, right? We're not looking for that perfect thin shape. We're looking for the perfect healthy body shape.
As long as you have big shoulders. Jordan.
Yes.
Man, you've had a pretty interesting relationship with food
Yes.
in your life, going from not actually paying any attention, just eating whatever because it tastes good, to in your teens, in your teens knowing what's bad and still not caring, and in your 20s just saying fuck it.
Yep. Fuck it.
And where are we now?
Well, it has been a long and interesting journey to get to where I am now, but I think through all of the twists and turns, it really forced me to look at my relationship with food. Somewhere along the line, I broke this attachment, this like emotional eating or feeling like I was bored or restless and just start shoving stuff in my face to like pass the time or to like get some dopamine or whatever. Somewhere that has been cut for me, and I'm so happy. Also, my life is super easy because Mo does like all the cooking.
Oh,
Lucky you.
So I don't have to plan as much, which was always like kind of a tough one for me, running my own business and living alone with like no support, like, and then having to like do all your meal prep and everything. I would still do it. And through that process, though, I also did learn that I am someone that needs to like eat pretty consistently throughout the day. I can't like have just one meal a day or 2 meals a day. Like I need to like make sure I'm well fed at work, that my body is fueled, or I'm going to be a freaking you know what. Mm-hmm. Like I learned that about myself, and that's fine, but that's like, it's healthy because I'm not gorging myself once I finally get a chance to eat. Because that used to be my old behavior, was I'd be so busy at work, wouldn't get a chance to eat, and then I'd have 5 minutes and I'd inhale as much food as I could. Somewhere I learned to slow down. I learned to like cut off the emotional attachment to it and really focus on what you're saying. Like, this is nourishment for my body. This is fuel for my body to make it through my day. This is fuel for my body to go to the gym and get the results that I'm looking for. That being said, sometimes you do have to also keep your sanity and have a little treat every now and then. That was a big thing for me too in my weight loss journey, was like, if you hit a pretty significant goal, like, go have one thing that you've been craving, just one thing, and then get back on it like immediately.
yeah.
Don't let yourself slip.
And I'll just point out and say that I 100% support that. But I will also say, for the boys, for the men, you don't get shit.
No cookie for you.
You don't get shit. If you hit a goal, like you want to drop a little bit of body fat, you want to get that PR on bench. That's because that's what you should be doing. As a man, you should be ripped. As a man, you should be benching at least 2 plates. And whatever, if you hit that 2 plates, if you see a six pack, whoop-de fucking do. There's another person going after your bench press PR, your chick, your business, your sales. You don't reward yourself for nothing. But then you can also be a man and be like, fuck you, Mo, I'm gonna do it anyways, because sometimes I do it anyways, like just like I'm smoking this way. But my message still to you is, don't cheat. If you do go and cheat and be like, Mo, I'm a man, I'm a cheat, I'm like, power to you. But still, as your homie, I'm gonna tell you, don't do it, bro. Right. Don't fucking do it. Yeah.
That's what John Wick would say.
Yeah, right? Yeah. So I don't think we need to discuss my relationship with food. It'll just be a
Just watch his Instagram story every single night.
Yeah, Instagram stories. The only thing I'm gonna say is I'm just happy after 20 years of doing all these diets. At least I know what a healthy diet is.
Yeah.
The biggest problem is just every few weeks, every month, every year, there's a new diet. There's a new, like, I wish the carnivore diet, look up the carnivore diet. Paul Saladino, Dr. Sean Baker, shout out to Ken Berry. These are doctors explaining this. Now, I wish this wasn't the truth, because it would be easier to say, eat your vegetables, eat a balanced diet. But I'm just happy that after all this, dude, I went vegan for half a year. I did the chicken and rice diet for so long, and nothing was working well for me. I was feeling bloated. It was so hard to stay lean. I'm just happy that I've reached the truth finally, and this makes sense. The carnivore diet, animal products and fruit. That's it. The only thing coming from a plant that that you should consume that comes from a plant, it's fruit. Now again, you guys might be doing a little bit of variations of the carnivore diet. Some people might believe that vegetables are good. That's fine, but at least we all three of us are following certain basic rules of this diet that we will discuss in the next episode. Or you can go check out my stories, check out Jordan's stories, Mireya's stories. And at least we know that this is healthy. We don't have to control our portions. We can eat until we're full. And we know this is not only is it healthy, but it's going to help us look sexier as well. And that's what I'm happy about.
I'm also happy about that.
Yeah, I will say, like, honestly, again, I wasn't a big, like, red meat eater. And you can feel the difference. I feel the difference, for sure.
Which is what?
So now I feel lighter. I really feel lighter.
You think that you would feel stuffy and bloated and all that stuff, but it was always just all the other shit you were eating from steak, because like we were like, oh, steak messes my stomach up. Well, what did you eat the last time you had steak? Carne asada fries. Well, shit.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
The mashed potatoes and all that other stuff, the mac and cheese on the side. Yeah,
even
it was all
the salad to start.
Yeah.
Filled with seed oils.
Yeah.
That's what would hurt me.
So guys, this is a good recap just to see somebody who's had a good start, teeter-tottered for a little bit, and now has a better relationship. Two people who just had fucking rough starts all the way to the end, and then found a healthy way of eating, healthy relationship with food. So our goal is to tell you from this conversation, at least, that start thinking about at an early age, not to be selective and conscious about what you're putting in your body, not because of the way it looks, but just because how it makes you feel. Okay, you don't want to be a supermodel. Okay, you don't want to be an athlete, but you want to live a long, prosperous life where you don't piss away a bunch of money giving it to the doctor, right? Medical bills and all that stuff. So long term, when you're gonna have kids, you want to be that fat uncle or that fat dad, not being able to run and jump with your kids. And if the kid sees you unhealthy do you want your kid to be unhealthy at 60, 70? If not, then if you're going to be unhealthy at 70, your kid is going to follow the exact same lifestyle. All right? I wish I wasn't fat in high school. I wish I wasn't bullied. Now, if I was bullied and if I raise a fat kid, that's the same thing is going to happen to him. No matter how much you try, fat shaming is going to exist, because all these fat positivity people, they're all dead. It's unhealthy. So start thinking about what food is actually doing inside the body. You eat food, it digests and it turns into you. That's pretty much what it is.
Yeah. And it will catch up with you. So you can't just be like in your teens, like, oh, it'll never happen to me or...
Yeah, I only cared about how I looked, and I'm like, I'll just manipulate my diet into making sure that I look sexy enough. But once I turned 30 and after that, when I started having anxiety, depression, lower energy levels, bags under my eyes, looking older than I was, that's when I started caring. I'm like, bro, I want to care more about my health. I want to fix all my health issues. I want to have more energy. I just want to live a long, prosperous life. And when I fix everything inside of me, the outside looks good enough. I just focused on being the healthiest I could be. And now aesthetically, I look the best that I could look. And I'll let you guys end the podcast. Mireya?
I don't know.
I
don't know.
I was
Go
going to
ahead.
say something on that note. It's like interesting for me because I was so much heavier that like I almost didn't even know what to expect as I started to lose weight and get in shape. I didn't know what my body was going to look like. No idea. So I don't know if that helped or hindered in some situations. But it's interesting to think about if you're in that same position. Like, is it really all about, do you really have an image in your head of like what you're going to look like when you're quote unquote skinny? Or are you just like trying to be healthier and drop weight?
Yeah. I mean, I think
That's a very good point.
overall, it's going to be, you want to be healthy, right? You want to live that long life to see your kids grow, to see your grandkids grow, to your family, you know, be with them and you know, friends and stuff like that. For me, again, I think as I got older, I started then, or just, I mean, yeah, I started thinking food is fuel. Right. Food's not for pleasure, at least not for me. Because I keep it simple. Again, I don't use spices, hardly spices. You know, I keep it very simple. And food is just fuel, fuel that you need to feed your inner soul, your inner body, so that it can radiate and you look beautiful on the outside.
Hell yeah. That's exactly what we want to end with. And yeah, look at your food as a fuel, as nourishment. And if it tastes good, that's just a bonus.
Yeah.
And then just because I actually live with you and I know this, I'm going to make a comment about what you were saying about your relationship with food, about how it's going to make your body look versus how it's going to make your body feel. Over the last 3 years when you've been training, this is the least you've worried about what your body looks on the outside, but you're more concerned about what that food is doing to you inside.
That's very
And
true.
as the less you've cared about the outside and the more you've cared about the inside, I've seen your progress go further and further and further because you were focused more on being healthy rather than just changing the physique. Because you focus just on the health part, the physique is shine, the body fat is dropping faster, the muscle is building faster, and actually, I feel like you're less stressed about making progress because you're like, as long as I'm feeding the body well and doing something what's good for the body, it's gonna look good.
Yeah.
No, legit, like months and months and months will go by before I do another like progress picture to compare. Like I literally just am not paying attention to like how my body looks, and that's like a really different place for me to be for once in my life.
Yeah.
Instead of like hiding every little
It's a good
roll,
place.
and you know, it's freeing. You're right. I definitely care more about how does my body feel? What am I putting into it? Is this good for me? Versus like, how do I look today?
Oh yeah. Well, guys, great job on our first podcast. This is number 30. Ooh, I'm halfway. And the battery lasted, and we got the cat in the video. And hell
Got it
yeah.
all.
See you next time, guys.
Bye.
Thank
That's-
you.
That's
Bye.
a wrap. Now we just to make sure that it recorded.